Okay, we're going to do something a little different today. First, I want you to take a look at my book cover that I have here on the screen. Now, what I want you to do is observe me. Don't say anything. Just pay attention because I'm going to ask you some questions as we go along. I'm going to be thinking out loud of what I do before I start reading this book. Okay, the first thing I notice, this is a beautiful book. I'm looking at it as bright colors, very vivid. I notice that there is what appears to be to me, this is a couple. Now, who are they? That would be one of the questions I would ask. I'm looking at the way they're standing. His arm is around her arm. Their hands are together. They are in an intimate position. And then there is a man in front of them who has his hand on top of them. Who is he? He looks like to me that he would be a leader of some sort. I'm looking at their garments, very formal garments. But one thing that I noticed is that their garments are way more formal than the rest of the people. So that's telling me something. I'm thinking to myself that maybe this is some kind of ceremony. So I'm looking at the little boy. He's holding an arch at up over their heads with a canopy-like design. And so when I think of arches, and Joy, we're looking at the screen. When I think of arches, I think of weddings. And so I'm looking at the woman that's right behind, and she's happy. I mean, she looks elated. She has her hands clasped. So that's telling me that maybe she's the mother of the bride. Well, she could be the groom's mother as well, but she's kind of standing more behind the mother. And then I'm looking, I notice the characters are all people of color. Maybe the setting is in Africa or some island or place that's indigenous to African people. I also noticed their garments. Those are traditional African garments. And the people in the background, their garments are more informal and they look like they would be villagers. So from looking at all of this, I would say this is some type of wedding. Even looking at their head dressings, that's way more formal than everybody else's head dressing. So I'm going to take an educated guess. I think that these are probably a king and a queen at a wedding ceremony. And I'm going to predict, I'm going to take an educated guess about the title. I'm going to say Royal Wedding. I think this book is entitled Royal Wedding. Now I want you to tell me, what did you observe about what I was doing? What kinds of things do you think I was doing? What strategies you thought I was using? Joy.
Making an inference.
Okay, she said inference. All right, Josh, do you have anything to add to it? What kinds of things was I doing to get myself to a point of...
You was looking at the way they were dressing and the type of clothing they had on.
Okay, I was looking at their clothes.
Observation.
I took some observations. What kind of other things did I observe? Other than clothes.
Gestures.
Okay.
Like what he was holding up and stuff.
Okay, gestures. She said gestures. Okay, so what I did was I took a guess at what I thought that title was. We call that educated guess. Do you all remember what we call that when we take an educated guess?
Hypothesis.
And what's another name? We went over this lesson over the past month when we were going over strategies. What do you call it when you want to guess the title?
Predict.
Predict. Very good, Joy. So what I did is I predicted that the name of this book was The Royal Wedding. let's get confirmation to see if I'm right or a contradiction. Am I wrong? Was that right? No.
You're wrong.
I was wrong. So my prediction was wrong. This book is not entitled The Royal Wedding. It's entitled The Girl Who Spun Gold. So that prediction was not quite right, but that's what prediction is. You just look at something, take an educated guess. So what we're doing today is we've already talked about inferences in the past lesson, and we talked about prediction in the past lesson. So what we're going to do today is compare and contrast. Who knows what compare and contrast means?
Compare is like two are the same thing basically, and you just compare.
Hey, you're on the right track, Josh. Joshua, you're on the right track. Okay, you're comparing same things. You're trying to see what's similar. Is that what you're saying?
Contrast is different.
Okay, so we want to see what's very good. We want to see what's similar and what's different. Just like in this picture, you see they're comparing.
An apple and a lemon sour.
Okay, or a pear, an apple,
Pear.
yes.
I thought it was lemon.
Which is fine. It's still comparing fruit, right? Comparing oranges and apples, or apples and pears. So we
And
compare.
she had both apples in both her hands.
Yes. So now we are going to take a look at the similarities and the differences of prediction and inference. So the first one we're going to look at is prediction. Because we already did a lesson on this, so I'm not going full-fledged back into that lesson, but we will do a review. So let's take a look at some of the things that I was doing with the book. Here's that same book, The Girl Who Spun Gold. And I made a prediction on the book. The first thing that we talked about before with a prediction is that you look at the clues. And Joy, you did a good job in saying that that's called observation. So the first thing we do is we observe the clues. We look at some of the things that I was doing. Was I looking at pictures? Mm-hmm. Titles. In my case, there was no title, so I was making a prediction. But in this case here, there is a title, and it's The Girl Who Spun Gold. So if I was trying to see what this book was about, and I wanted to make a prediction on the book, I would be looking at the words. The girl who spun, and I'm thinking spun gold, that's like spinning thread or spinning wheel. So I'm thinking this book must be something to do with this girl spinning the gold. And then I noticed, one of the things I would notice about this book is the color. Did you notice anything about how they was all trimmed in gold? Did you catch that? Where else do you see gold? It's just standing out. It's all bright.
And then do him.
With what, Josh?
And then it's him.
Okay, in the man's hand. Where else, Joy, do you see gold in this book? Can you see it clearly?
No.
Okay.
On the dress.
In the dress. The mother of the bride. And that's telling me, this is how I would do it. We all use our clues. But I would think, with her wearing gold, the book is trimmed in gold, it says the girl spinning in gold, the mother must have some significant part in this book. So that's all prediction. Observation of clues, looking at characters, titles, settings. The second part of prediction is we make an educated guess. Have you ever heard people say, I bet that book is about, I bet she's going to do this. That's all dealing with an educated guess. Excuse me, it's making a prediction. So we use the titles, we use the word spun, we talked about the setting, we want to make an educated guess. Okay, so now I want you to try to do some of what I was doing when we first started off this lesson. I want you to, don't say anything out loud yet. First, I just want you to observe. Take about 10 seconds to observe that picture. Okay. Now I want you to do some of the things that I was doing, and I want you to say out loud when I call on you, what kind of clues were you looking at, and what do you think this book could be about? Joshua.
I was looking at, so I think the lady I think she got a lot of wealth, probably a lot of gold, and the king, he wants some of her wealth, so he trying to get at her so he could get some of her wealth.
Okay, so you were looking at, her clothing.
But no. But so she probably fell into it. So I guess that's her sister over there. She felt left behind because he giving all the attention to her, but not attention to her.
Okay, so he's making observations and he's looking. We don't know if he's right. He's just predicting what he thinks based on that. Okay, so Joy, what kinds of things were you doing?
She looked sad, so I'm thinking, he was coming to send a message, maybe, either, to get gold, or maybe, yeah, that's what I'm gonna
Okay,
say.
so you think it has something to do with the goal. One good thing, Joy, is now that we know the title, Joshua, this is for you too. Now that we know the title, we want to tie that title in to the picture. We're looking there. We know something to do with the girl spinning gold. And so she's there, and I observed the same thing there. She looks a little sad. You think she looks a little sad? Yeah, I think so. And so let's see if we can get an outcome. Remember we talked about prediction before. We said when you predict, you have an outcome. Because you say, I bet this is going to happen. I think this is going to happen. And then you get an outcome at the end, and you either confirm your outcome. Remember I didn't confirm my title. I thought I had it right, but I had a contradiction. It was not right. But it's okay. You know, that's why we're looking at this before we start reading, because it creates an interest for us to read that book. We start asking ourselves questions, we start predicting, and we turn the book over, we look at the back of the book, all those things, and then we can make predictions. So let's see what Joel's prediction is telling us. The girl's mother